So in 1980, you're going to Dorsey. You're about 17. You move on Washington and Hobart.
Yeah, Washington, Hobart, Washington, Harvard. So my grandmother had an apartment on Hobart, but her sister had a house on Harvard. So
what made you gravitate towards the local thugs in that neighborhood, but shy away from the local thugs in the 60s and in the A-Trade area? You weren't interested in grouping up with them, but you moved on Washington and it's thug life for Skipp.
So I'm fighting in the A-Trades. I'm not accepted over there. I'm accepted on 66, Rock and Stagger Lee and, all these dudes, we growing up on the same block. Big Marcus, who lived on 67, we cool. We playing football on the street. Dudes on 69th, 71st and all that, they fighting and gangbanging. So I didn't gravitate to that. Even in the 60s, I've been knowing Mad Dog. I went skating with his sister, Kiki and Thurnis. I'm going skating with their sister, so I'm growing up with all these dudes. Damon, the one with the spot on his head, that's my guy. We catching a bus to Sarah, you know what I mean? So these are my guys, but remember, Damon and John L. like this. And shit, I'm running from everything come out of John L. house. So no, I'm not gravitating to be, a rolling 60. No, you know what I mean? But when I made it to Washington, there was a dude who was trying to take me under his wing and show me how to make money. You know what I mean? Because I was by now I'm fighting the 30s. So I'm walking home from school on Jefferson, and me and Harold Mac is cool. We straight. But then when Harold he went to camp. Now all the 30s are saying, man, where you walking to? Where you going? And they say, oh, and start calling me, out my name and disrespecting Bloods. And I'm still not even, tripping that, I'm whatever. I'm just not a Crip, you know what I mean?
Well, in LA, you're guilty by residence.
Exactly. Guilty by residence. So at this point now, I start fighting the 30s until Harold Mack come home. And by the time he get home, I done disrespected some of these dudes. So now it's like, yeah, but he said this, he said that. So, so I'm not gravitating to that either.
So how the hell you getting home from Dorsey to Washington? You got to go through West Boulevard and Harlem Hood and all that on the RTD. How do you navigate that?
What I do is I go through the rodeo lanes and go up into the jungles on Somerset, get a girl who mama ain't home, man. Hang out on Muirfield when her mama come home. Hang on Santo Tomas. Just hang out on the outskirts. Avoid Takufu at all costs. Don't get caught and put in a circle at the dirt lot. Before it was a park, it was a dirt lot where they was, everybody was learning self-defense and all that. So I just avoided all the foolishness until 1980.
So when I think of Washington and Hobart back in 1980 and back then, I'm thinking that's all city stone, right? So when did the 20s land in that area, and did they take a piece of territory from the city stones by being there?
Yes, they did. So what happened is a guy named Head, and Head grew up on Arlington. And he didn't become Blackstone. He went down the hill. He's on 27th and Butlong. He got the tattoo with a 2 and a 7. Came back and said he's rolling 20s. And Head was that guy that everybody looked up to. So the homie Crazy K and Head's little brother Monster, Big Lunatic, Sambo, a whole bunch of dudes, man. They said, well, we're going to be 20s. We're going to be Avenue 20s. We second half. And Head was telling them no. You're going to be 20s, you're going to be 27th Street like everybody else. And that's why I say they was little kids, right? And they said, nah, we avenues. And I kind of looked at it the same way Head looked at it, like, man, y'all too little. But it was enough of them. And, they started getting more Big Boy and Big. And they just started, even Crazy K brother B-Rock, said, fuck it, I'm with it. And so many of them said they with it. I said, all right, fuck it, I'm with it.
Explain to the people who might not understand, why would you guys label yourselves avenues?
Well, because even though they was rolling 20s, there was no 27th Street north of Washington. So we're on Pico and 2nd Ave. We're on Venice and 4th Ave at the liquor store. We're on Washington and, 2nd Ave. So, it's like, so it's in the middle of what is normally considered the city stones. But so it's not like we're against City Stone. Matter of fact, the big homies, the City Stones, KB, Bullock, my homeboy Ethan and Romeo, they City Stones. So we all growing up together. It's just a different.
When I look at the map and I look at 20's territory, the 20 Avenues is more like a satellite set detached from the main 20 territory, smack in the middle of City Stone. That's how I see it when I look at the map. Did the City Stones have an issue with you guys when you first kicked off this new set within their sphere of influence?
Nah, not that I know of. It was all bloods, all together, all cool. We at the same park, second half park, and grew up together. Matter of fact, there's a couple of dudes who, in one house, you got a 20 and you got a Blackstone. You know, there's a couple of families like that. Hanging out on the same streets, on Gramercy, on Wilton. You know, some dudes started Gramercy Street Hustlers. Some dudes started Deuce 5 Hustlers. And come to find out, well, your older brother's from Blackstone. Your older brother's from 20s. But, you know, it was just, back in the days, they had Bronson. Bronson Avenue, they had a hustler set over there they was doing.
Did, before the 20s became official over there in the Pico, Washington area, did they go by another name? Were there a different crew that evolved and got absorbed into the 20s? Or they started from 20s right from the jump?
Started from 20s right from the jump.
So they didn't evolve from like a hustler crew in the
Not the 20s. There was Gramercy Street Hustlers. Some of them, you know, back in 88 or 89, there was a big old meeting that we had at Hoover Park. And one of the big homies said, man, go through the hood. Get rid of all the hustlers. Either they 20s or they Blackstones, but they gotta go. You know, they had the EWF, Every Woman Fantasy and all that, with the homie Shannon, you know, but he really from 20s, you know what I mean? So everybody was going through, getting all the 25th Street hustlers, getting all the Gramercy Street hustlers, you know, saying, man, that's over with. And most of them started claiming City Stone. You know, a couple of them claimed 20s, but.
There, once upon a time, there was where the Gramercy Street hustlers were at. They're like on the opposite side of Arlington from the City Stones, the 21st Streets. But after a while, I started seeing 20s over there writing on the wall and Black Demon Soldiers, BDS. Right. Well, is that who the Gramercy Streets turned into?
Bloodhound, nah. Bloodhound got his own crew. So Bloodhound is north. He's on Venice and like Wilton, Gramercy. But the guys who are on Gramercy, like around 21st Street, they was all Blackstones. They turned Blackstone. So all that's Blackstone neighborhood.
You mentioned Bloodstone.
Bloodhound, I'm
sorry. He's quote unquote to outsiders, to the internet. He's a celebrity to them. Tell us who this guy is.
Man, that dude was Mr. Nice, Tony. He was a rapper. He was hey, but I'm gonna tell you this. I take my hat off to him because we tried to get him up out of there. During that time when we was like get up all the, you know, and he created the Black Demon Soldiers. This dude got on the roof, and he gave probably about 14, 15 of us, and we was trying to catch him, and he stood on the roof and gave us hell. We couldn't drive down the block. Because we was playing Grand Theft Auto, and he had 9 lives. He'd be on the roof and he'd make sure we didn't come around because we was trying to get him up out of there.
What ended up happening to this guy?
He got deported, but not after. You know, we went through that for about 4 or 5 months. But Head was in prison when he came home. Head said, "Nah, that's it. Leave him alone. Y'all don't do that. He's cool. He with us." And we like, well, look what he doing. The Black Demon Soldiers and all that. We said, it's all right. They're part of the Avenues. They with us. And that was it. And then he got some Avenues to be with him, and they claim Avenues. And you know, he just wanted to be the leader of something, and he couldn't be the leader of 20s. So he created something to be the leader of, and shit, he fought for it. He earned his shit.
So the Black Demon Soldiers kind of folded into the Avenues and no longer exist.
Nah, they still Black Demons. They still do their thing. I mean, it's they not recruiting, so you don't see them, and they all 40 now. So, you know.
Where did he get deported to?
Sweden.
Explain that.
Well, when he was born in Sweden, and they brought him to New York, and from New York, he moved to L.A. This dude had several gun cases. He's on magazines. He's all in the news. And the feds got rid of him.
What did he have? His father was American soldier based in Sweden or in Europe somewhere?
I don't know how the details go. I just know that, I thought that his mother died at an early age because he was raised by his father. So I just didn't know.
So he's in Sweden as we speak.
As we speak, he's in Sweden.
In this internet age, he's not really popping up on the radar right now. What's he doing in Sweden?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to him about 3 years.
That's crazy, man. We got a Crip from Canada and a Blood from Sweden.
Yeah.
All right, I want to go back to the 20 Avenues when you guys formulated. Who was y'all main rivals? Because you guys are kind of like all the way over here. So who are you guys rumbling with? What's the local schools for that area? What's the play out there?
So Mount Vernon is a school. That's the middle school. Most of the dudes go to LA High. A lot of them might go to Fairfax or Dorsey. But the main rival was always the schoolyard. So West Boulevard is supposed to be the main rival, but it was the schoolyards. It was every day. It was on site. The crazy part is I can name all them. They can name all of us. It's just, man, that was some crazy shit. I didn't think I was going to live through that. Black Capone, shout out to Black Capone. He missed a few times. I love you for missing home. You know what I mean? And I apologize to my boy Sleep because I missed a few times, but we was at it daily. And I'm just glad to be here, man.
What's the cutoff point territorial-wise for the schoolyards in the 20s in the avenues?
That's going to be Crenshaw. So, we had a lot of people, a lot of family members and stuff that lived on Victoria or maybe a street after, whatever. But, the Crenshaw was the cutoff. Like the gas station at the mobile station on the west side of the street, sometimes they would pile up there on a Sunday. And some of the homies, we go in the homeboy backyard and, trying to see if we could do something to them for being out there on Crenshaw. But once again, back then, no, I was going to the skating ring all the time, so I wanted to keep a low profile because I like.
What skating ring did you go to, Skip?
Shit, man, World on Wheels. Shit, Sundays, Wednesdays. I'm at World on Wheels.
Just not on Saturday, huh?
I went a couple of times on Saturdays, man, and dudes from 60s came and said, "Hey, man, we was about to fight the schoolyards, and then you came in, and now we decided we was gonna get you, man. So I'm just telling you, if you want to, you should go ahead and shake right now."
Oh, let me ask you something. You did an interview with Poppy. Where you know Poppy from?
Poppy. I don't know who's Poppy.
Cat's little brother.
Oh yeah, Pop from Catholic school. I went to school with Carrie. So it's 3 of them, right? Or it's probably more, but I know 3: Big Cat, Carrie, and Pop.
Big Cat, Little Cat, Chaos, and Poppy.
Okay. So yeah, I went to Sarah with Carrie, and Poppy remembered me from St. Bridget's. I went to another school on 52nd and Western. I went there for a year, but they was there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So me and Carrie was cool. It was another dude used to be with Carrie, lived over there in the Overhills. He's from 30s now, and I had issues with him. But yeah, me, Carrie, and Poppy cool.
I always wondered when I saw that interview, I'm like, where the hell Skip know Poppy from?
Right.
So back to the 20 Avenues. That's mid-city area on the map. What Mexican gangs were in that area when you first landed over there?
Oh, definitely the Harpies. The Harpies was all through there. Harpies was on our side, the Avenues, and also on the other side. But the Drifters was there. They had like a pocket, like a few streets. That's about it. The Mid-City Stoners was there too. We ended up getting into it with them in '93. But they were.
Who was there first? You guys or the Mid-City Stoners?
Nah. So where I moved to, on Washington, Hobart, and Harvard, those are Mid-City Stoners when I got there. But directly across the street going south, some Mansfields were over there in the 20s, on that side. So the Mexicans was Mid-City Stoners, but they had a lot of black dudes from their gang.
Wait, there was Mansfield staying over there?
Man, there was Mansfields on Harvard.
Didn't some of those dudes end up turning 20s? Or some 20s turned Mansfield?
I don't know nothing about that.
No? All right, the name will pop in my head later.
Yeah, tell me who that was. Because I literally from 80 till this day grew up with them dudes. So I know all the Mansfields and yeah, we had arguments, we had fights, but we agreed not to kill each other. A couple of times somebody got dead, but after I started selling dope in their neighborhood and they were selling dope over there, we agreed, all right, well shit, y'all don't trip, we don't trip. And I think it was about, I can't remember, what it was about 88, all the killing stopped between us and them.
You was in the Mansfield serving?
I was on Cloverdale, yes indeed. Had Cloverdale from Venice to Pico.
And they weren't tripping.
Yeah, they were tripping. But they had dudes who were making money, and I brought them.
Well, back then, Mansfields weren't an overly aggressive, violent gang like that. They were more geared towards playerism.
Right. But they had some dudes who was, they would come to the wall and hit up on the wall, the Slav Killer and all that, BK, and, you know. They had some dudes who wanted me gone. A couple of Marvins wanted me gone, and Lucky and Scotty told them, chill. I said, Skip, anything happen, we coming after you. I said, all right, I got it. Ain't nothing gonna happen. So back then, I was an interventionist, didn't even know it. And I was like, shit, we gonna make this money. Y'all don't trip on them. Y'all don't trip on each other. And
so you speak on the, I'm assuming the dope gang. When were you introduced to the dope gang as far as when did crack hit your consciousness in your area? When did that spark?
I'm gonna say it was in between 82 and 83. So I was around dudes who had major money. They were selling water. They was cooking water in the bathtub and making 50,000. So I'm around them, and I'm going trying to get a job, trying to go to work every day. And I was seeing what they was doing, and when they said that was, you know, the cocaine, they was buying kilos of cocaine. That shit was ridiculous prices, like, you know, 30-something thousand, 36,000, something like that. So I knew I couldn't, but there was one dude, I believe he was a Hoover. One dude gave me a 8-track. It was $250. He said, bring me back $250. I knew nothing about rock cocaine. I ain't know nothing about it. And it took me about 2 weeks to get him his money. And he said, man, I ain't giving you shit else. You the slowest dope dealer there is, right? But now I started getting people paging me for it, because back then it was a pager. So that was between 82 and 83.
Where were you originally hustling at when all this started? What area?
Man, I originally started hustling off of Washington and Hobart. But then there was an apartment for rent on Hyde Park, right off of Crenshaw.
Stop it.
I did it, man. I did it, man. And I started getting my shit from one of the homies that I, you know, knew as a child over there. And he was connected to the dudes closer to Florence, you know, who lived right by that alley, if y'all know what I'm talking about. So that's their connection, and I'm getting it from him thinking I'm cool, and he got PD whack with him all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm straight. I got the youngsters and the old dudes respecting that I'm cool, right? But then the other dude off Arlington who got all them brothers, he started calling like, oh no, you gotta, y'all know what I'm talking about? So he like, man, you gotta check in or I'm gonna do something to you, Skip. And I'm like, man, come on, let me make my money, right? So I'm avoiding him at all costs. And then the other dude with the blue 64 that lived on Victoria. At the blue 60, I heard he died recently. I don't know how that blue, Waco?
Oh, Little Waco.
Little Waco. Yeah, so he was on Victoria, and he sent people to press. You know, the other dude come and steal my car. I had a red Chevy parked up underneath the window. And I see him as I'm turning left. I see him. I say what's up to him. As soon as I park the car, I go upstairs. He done jumped in the car and drove off. Took it on 8th Ave. To the building on 8th Ave and took everything off of it. My hydraulics, the rims, carburetor, generator, took everything off of it. And that's when it was a problem.
My question is this. For outsiders that don't understand where the 20s live, it's a historical West Adams area.
Yes.
And basically the original Black Beverly Hills, right?
Right.
And then Mid-City is kind of an integrated area. Different races. So there's a lot of money in that area. What inspired you to take the risk to travel from the 20s, smack dead in the 60s and open up a spot being in the 20s? What inspired that? Knowing there's a ton of money in the 20s. Why?
Because I didn't know the dynamics over there. I only knew my small portion, my area right there. So if I go on 2nd Avenue, 16, it's 1,000 people out there, you know, doing their thing. Everybody from City Stone was getting money. Shit, some of them went to Pasadena, Pomona. So I was like, man, let me go where I know a few people. I know a few smokers. And that's all it was about. And if I can get these smokers to bring me other smoke, I actually recruited a smoker from Inglewood. I recruited a young lady from Inglewood. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. Bring them. So she go do her business, whatever she was doing, and bring them to me.
That's the original playbook for most hustlers that enter other people's territory. Hey, so look, what years were you grinding in the 60s, and what made it come to a conclusion?
Yeah, I just told you the conclusion. It was 84. It was 84. It was a short time, about 7-8 months in 84. One time I'm at the phone booth. I got on black and blue everything, and I look across the street and I see F-Bone coming. Got 3-4 guys with him. They pinpoint in on me. They walking right towards me. And I got to talk my way out of that. I'm naming everybody I can name over there. And at the time, one of my partners had a spot down the street on Arlington where everybody hang out down the street in the Jack in the Box. So he had a spot at the corner, which was the like cook spot, like we making shit happen from there, but not selling out of there, right?
Wait a minute. You guys had a cook spot on Big U's block?
Yes, sir.
You heard that, Draw?
Hey, they wouldn't know because the dude, he wasn't from 20s. He wasn't a blood. He come out of, matter of fact, he lived right next door to Money Mike, growing up in Inglewood. So, I mean, you know, they was Crips and had a blue Camaro and this and that. So, but yeah, we just used that spot for that. They would make water and all that in the spot. But I seen F-Bone and I got to say, man, I'll be right there at the corner, man, where you be at. I'll see you down the street. And man, I said enough to where he felt comfortable, and I named, you know, Kiki, Mad Dog, all them. And so he was like, all right, man. He said, but you got them red rubber bands. Man, don't trip, man. That's the girl who braided my hair, did that shit. I ain't, you know. I just had enough to get on, but I knew it was coming to an end. And when Huckabuck stole my car, man, that was it. That was enough, man. You know, because now I'm calling using my favors, and dudes is like, man, you can't be here like that, Skipp. We can't, man. I'm going to stand here, get your car, get it up out of here, but that's all I could do for you. I can't do nothing else. I can't chastise this dude and have him bring your shit back. You don't belong here.
Sitting reminiscing